The Dodgers have a payroll of $392 million. How are you supposed to compete when a team has got 4 or 5 times your payroll?
Does it feel like the pressure is building?
Sometimes you just don't have the right answers. We were just not playing very good. Offensively, we were not good. So we need to figure this out and figure this out quick.
It just sucks. It feels terrible, and I don't know. I have to figure it out because baseball hates me right now.
What made the most shocking trade of the decade, watched it backfire spectacularly, then somehow turned into the hottest team in baseball, threatening to take over the NL West. And the San Diego Padres went full burn the farm system down mode at the trade deadline in a desperate effort to try and dethrone their big brother in LA. Here's the crazy part. As we head into the final month of the season, all 3 team seasons are converging on a collision course that will determine not just who wins the NL West, but who even makes the playoffs. The stakes have never been bigger. But before we get into it, I really appreciate all the love and support on the channel, guys. If you could subscribe, turn on those notifications, and let's get right into this crazy story. Let's start with the team everyone expected to cruise to another division title, the Los Angeles Dodgers. 8 months ago, they were World Series champions. They started this season a perfect 8-0, breaking the record for the best start by a defending champion. They looked unstoppable. But even during that perfect start, manager Dave Roberts kept saying they weren't playing their best baseball. He was dumbfounded that they were finding ways to win. Well, guess what? When you're not actually playing championship level baseball, it eventually catches up to you. And boy, did it catch up. The Dodgers lost 7 straight games in July, their longest losing streak since September 2017. Let me repeat that. The Dodgers have had their worst stretch in almost 8 years. That's not just a rough patch. That's a team that's having fundamental issues. Now, let's break down some of those problems. During their recent struggles, manager Dave Roberts pointed to a lack of team at-bats. Translation, their hitters aren't working together. They're not getting pitch counts up and not putting pressure on opposing pitchers. Michael Conforto is hitting 167 in his last 25 games. Teoscar Hernandez is dealing with injuries that have clearly compromised his swing. And if you think those are bad injuries, Roki Sasaki, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, and Shohei Ohtani all missed large parts of the season. 4/5 of the Dodgers starting rotation missed literally hundreds of innings worth of starts. And keep in mind, that's without going over the amount of position player injuries that they've also suffered. And here's the kicker. Roberts is now publicly threatening to bench players, saying you've got to perform to warrant being out there every single day. When your manager is making those statements in September, that's not a team that's championship ready. And just this week, they got swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates, a team that's 64-77. I know it's baseball and small sample sizes can be deceiving, but a championship team just doesn't go and get swept by Pittsburgh in September and then actually lost the opening game against Baltimore the next day. If that doesn't wake you up to how far the Dodgers have fallen, I don't know what will. These struggles have opened the door for their California rivals to steal the NL title, which brings me to the San Francisco Giants. On June 15th, the Giants made one of the most stunning trades in recent memory, acquiring 3-time All-Star Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox for Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, and 2 prospects. This wasn't just a trade. This happened 6 weeks before the deadline, completely out of nowhere, and also while the Giants were actually playing the Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. Now, as we know, the Giants at one point since acquiring Devers had the worst record in Major League Baseball through August 25th, going 22-38. But it didn't seem like this trade was working. There was reports that had surfaced that Devers had no-showed for 3 straight days. Former Giants Hall of Famer Will Clark to mentor him at first base. So the relationship was looking toxic. The team looked like they were falling apart, and Giants fans were losing their minds. But fast forward to now, and the script has been completely flipped. The Giants have now won 11 out of their last 12 games and climbed over 500 for the first time since August. But it's not just that they're winning, it's how they're winning. They've homered in 18 consecutive games, which is a San Francisco era franchise record. To put that in perspective, during their brutal stretch at home in July and August, their playoff odds dropped to 0.04. As of right now, it's up to over 5%. And Devers, he just set the record for the hardest hit home run in Giants history in the StatCast era with a 114.5 mile an hour laser. He even won the NL Player of the Week after hitting 478 with 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, and a 1.512 OPS. But here's the most incredible stat. Devers just joined Willie Mays, Orlando Cepeda, and Barry Bonds as the only Giants players in the last 70 years to have 4 home runs, 5+ walks, 10+ runs, and 10+ RBIs over any 6-game span. That's Hall of Fame territory. The Giants are now averaging 7.8 runs per game over their last 11 games, batting .311 with a 908 OPS and more than 2 homers per game. That's a team that's hot right now. But here's what makes it even better. Earlier this week, a benches clearing brawl erupted that might have sparked that late season surge of energy that San Francisco needs. Devers crushed another massive home run, and Colorado pitcher Kyle Freeland started chirping at him during his home run trot. Giants pitcher Logan Webb said afterward, "I'm surprised it hasn't happened before with that guy. He just kind of runs his mouth a lot of times." Translation, Devers has found his swagger, this team is protecting him, and they're playing with that kind of edge and energy that championship teams have. The Giants are now just 4 games out of the final wildcard spot and just 7 games out of the NL West lead. They have clawed their way all the way back from what looked like a season-ending collapse to a potential miracle run into the playoffs. And finally, let's talk about the San Diego Padres, who looked at this California chaos and said, "Hold my beer." At the July 31st trade deadline, Padres GM AJ Preller didn't just make moves. He basically burned down the entire farm system to make one final push at dethroning the Dodgers, because he knows this is his final chance with San Diego. And when I say burned down, I mean he made 5 trades involving 22 players, including giving up their crown jewel for a late inning reliever. That centerpiece was acquiring reliever Mason Miller from the Sacramento A's. Now, getting a closer might not sound earth-shattering, but this guy's different. Miller throws 104 miles an hour, not just once, but regularly, and averages 101, making him the hardest thrower in Major League Baseball. Now, I know the ERA isn't pretty, but having a reliever you know will toss 100 miles an hour gas in the postseason is crucial. But the cost was Leo DeVries, a ranked 3 prospect in all of baseball, plus 3 other prospects. Think about that. They traded a consensus top 5 prospect, a teenager who could become a superstar, for a reliever. It's rare to see top 100 prospects traded at the deadline, let alone a consensus top 5 guy for a guy that's only going to be pitching for you for 1 inning. But Preller wasn't done there. He also acquired Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano from Baltimore for 6 more prospects. Now, that did address their need for offensive help in left field and DH. He then grabbed catcher Freddie Fermin from Kansas City, upgrading their weakest position. In total, Preller gave up 11 prospects from a farm system that was already considerably thin. It was the most aggressive deadline strategy that I've personally seen in years. Now, if it pays off, he's a genius, but if it doesn't, the guy has got to be losing his job. So the question is, why now? Why did AJ Preller go all in 2025? Well, the answer is simple. Some of the Padres' most high-profile players, Manny Machado's, now injured Xander Bogaerts, and Yu Darvish, are all well into their 30s. The 56-year-old franchise has never won a World Series, and the window for them to do that is closing fast. Plus, there was an added urgency after the death of owner Peter Seidler in November 2023, creating uncertainty about future spending. So this might actually be their real last shot. And the results have been mixed so far. The Padres have the best bullpen ERA in baseball, and Miller has been dominant since the trade with a 1.5 ERA in 12 appearances, and O'Hearn and Laureano have been 2 of their 4 best hitters since the deadline by OPS, with Laureano driving in more runs than any player traded at the deadline. But here's the problem. They're still inconsistent. They surged to a 14-3 start, posted a losing record in May and June, and then righted themselves back back in July. Like, you really never know what type of baseball you're going to get with the Padres. And that's not the profile of a championship team. That's the profile of a team that plays up to good competition and plays down to bad teams. Now, they do currently sit in a wild card position, but the Dodgers already won the season series against them, which means if they finish tied for the division, LA's going to get the tiebreaker over them. To sum it all up, all those prospects, all that money, all that urgency, and they still might be watching the playoffs from home if they can't find consistency in September. Now that we're up to date with all three California teams, it's time to show you how this convergence is crazy. And there's a massive series that's still about to be played. As of early September, the Dodgers still hold the NL West title, but their margin is shrinking fast. The Padres are firmly in a wildcard spot, but that's not good enough for a team that spent 11 prospects at the deadline. They want the division, and the Giants have came all the way back from death to just 4 games out of a wildcard spot. And that's what's crazy. With only a couple weeks left to the season, the race for the NL West is literally in anyone's pocket. The Giants are playing with house money. They've already exceeded expectations just by climbing back to 500, which is the most dangerous position for a team to be in because they have nothing to lose. San Diego is in the most fascinating spot. They have the best bullpen in baseball and added exactly the offensive pieces they needed at the deadline, but they also just mortgaged their entire future for this run. They're currently in a wildcard spot, but wildcard teams don't get parades. For a franchise that's never won a World Series and just gave up 11 prospects, making the wild card feels like a moral victory and a devastating failure at the exact same time. The pressure on this team is insane because everyone knows they went all in this year, and if they don't make a deep run, it's going to be a complete disappointment for San Diego. And then you have the Dodgers, who are in the weirdest position of all. They're still leading the division, but they don't look anything like a championship team. Their manager is calling out players publicly. Their rotation is held together by glue and electric tape, and they just got embarrassed by the Pirates. So the question is, are they going to be able to flip that switch when it matters most and turn back into the championship team we all know them to be? Or are these cracks that we've seen all season real and gonna finally break them? And the Dodgers and Giants still have 7 games to play against each other. That's 2 full series against these two teams that are battling for an NL West title. Those head-to-head matchups aren't just important, they're crucial, and also for the Padres. If the Giants win majority of those games against the Dodgers, not only does that bring them closer to the wild card spot, but it could allow the Padres to leapfrog the Dodgers into the NL West title. So the remaining series against these two teams is insanely important for the entire NL West race. The bottom line is that this California battle, it represents everything we love about late season baseball. The defending champions showing vulnerabilities, the underdogs making desperate gambles, and the written off teams staging an impossible comeback. With multiple head-to-head series still to be played, we're headed towards a September that could redefine all 3 franchises. The NL West is the Wild West indeed. And the best part is that we get to sit back and watch it all unfold over the next 3 weeks. Who's going to survive this California chaos? Place your bets now. Honestly, not to be a Dodger hater, but I would love to see the Giants make the wild card, the Padres take the title, and the Dodgers miss the playoffs altogether. As a Yankee fan, I mean, wouldn't that be nice? But regardless, this is still one of the most dramatic playoff races in all of baseball happening right now. Plus, you have the Devers redemption arc, the AJ Preller all-in gamble, and the falling of the defending champion. This race has everything. But what do you guys think? Are the Giants for real? Is this just a hot streak that fizzles out? Can the Padres justify giving up 11 prospects if they don't win the World Series? Will the Dodgers figure it out in time to defend their championship? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. That's all for today, guys. I'll see you on the next one.